Hello, welcome to Adobe Live. I'm your host, Christine Arth, and we have Caterina Bianchini here with us today. The last 2 days, Caterina's been working on posters based on the Bauhaus Dessau fonts. We had 5 fonts that Erik Spiekermann was creating with the students from multiple schools. And the last 2 days, we've been focusing on 2 of those fonts, which you can download on Adobe Live. I think it's behance.net. You can download those fonts even right now. We have a couple fun things that we're going to do today. In about a half an hour, we're going to do a chat and win. So you could win an Adobe water bottle. So be active in the chat, and that's all you have to do to win. And then, yes, there's this bottle right here, hovering bottle. And then we're also going to be doing a portfolio review today. So anyone that has a portfolio ready on Behance, you can submit it in the portfolio review tab. And Caterina will be reviewing 2 portfolios, so hopefully you're lucky enough to get selected and you get the honor of having a critique live. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing those.
Yeah, I know. Well, you had such great feedback for the logos for the past couple of days, so I'm sure that they're going to get a lot out of it. Speaking of the last 2 days, Caterina has been creating posters based on a couple of the fonts, and I'm curious, and I want to go back so that those who hadn't been on the show can see what you've done.
Yeah, okay. So I think this was like what we did on the first day, and I've kind of been choosing one sort of influential designer from the Bauhaus to kind of represent each day and interpret in my own way. So on the first day, I started to look at Joseph Albers, who is one of my favorites, and he was a student at the Bauhaus. Amazing. So he kind of explored this whole idea of like color interaction. He did all these like very like sort of interesting sort of geometric paintings where he'd kind of look at a sunset and he'd take all the hues and all the colors out of a sunset and create these almost just like geometric images that didn't represent a sunset in form, but represented the sunset in the way that the colors were represented.
Yeah, it's like what you feel when you see it.
Yeah, and so it was super interesting.
The play that you've done like on the textures and the pattern and everything is just quite lovely.
So yeah, I'll speak a little bit about each one.
Yeah.
So on the first day, we kind of honed in on this font, which is the Yoschmidt font, and this is like a stencil. It's quite stencil-y font, but it has these lovely little sort of intricacies in some of the characters. Yeah. So we've got these interesting little curves against these really super sharp geometric shapes, and I think that creates quite an interesting juxtaposition within the font. It almost feels a little bit decorative, but it also has this real hardness to it, which is quite unusual, I think, when you see it actually all together.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So with this one, we kind of explored the idea of like the interaction with color and how far can you push that so that it just has a little bit of differentiation. And it kind of creates this really interesting sort of gradient effect almost within this sort of geometric shape. And by introducing this typography around the side, we kind of create this sort of off balance, but instead of like the type going all the way around all the edges, it just kind of fits on to the right hand side, and I think that creates an interesting sort of feeling in the poster.
And the quote too.
Yeah, so
you pulled a couple quotes specifically for this project.
Right, yeah, so this one is, I prefer to see with my eyes closed, and this was one of Joseph Albers' quotes.
Yeah, I love it.
And I think it's really cool. I think it's quite an interesting sort of proposition, I think, as a designer or as an artist. You know? Because
totally.
It's almost crazy, isn't it? You know?
Welcome back, Colby. We see that you're here. Thanks for following along for the last 2 days. He's like, I would love to see how you added the grain to your posters again. I think you're probably going to show us later.
Yeah, I'm going to try and do some designs as well.
You'll see later on. She's going to create a whole new set of posters today, which is incredibly mind-blowing considering that there's been 10 created so far, nearly, if not more.
Okay, so then moving on to this one, we were kind of showing how can we push the posters into more of like a pattern. So it has this sort of feeling of it almost not being legible. You're kind of pushing the typography to its limits. We're really pushing it to the sides of the poster and creating almost something that's as expressive as the type itself. And what was interesting with this one was we started by using these shapes and putting the typography up against itself. We started to create these really interesting new shapes within the poster, and I think that kind of had a very sort of I don't know, it was unusual. We weren't really expecting to see that, and I think that that's something that with exploration in design you can have and that can happen. And I think that's what as designers we should be trying to do.
Yeah, it almost creates a new typeface. In fact, because of the negative shapes, you can see Romans in there, which it's not meant to be. So it's really interesting the way
it
that
feels, quite serif-y.
Yeah, it
it's
does.
unusual.
Pulling in some new objects and then creating new shapes.
Yeah, and then with this, again, we're just kind of referencing Joseph Alber's sort of color palette, this really contrasty sort of color palette. It almost plays a little bit of a trick on your eyes there, I think.
It's one of those vibrating color tricks, which is really nice.
It's interesting. And then again, using this sort of textural overlay to kind of create this feeling of these different sort of crafty, handmade feeling to this one. Okay, and then the third one, we were exploring how far we can push the type in terms of creating new shapes. And if we really blow this up, what do these shapes then become? Does it still read as typography, or does this actually become like a set of symbols? And I think, again, that with this, it's just really showing the potential in this typography. We also opened up the kerning a little bit here, the tracking, and pushed that out so that we were feeling a little bit more, I don't know, just pushing it. And with these lines, introducing this idea of the artistic line, something whether like going back to this type's origins of it being sketched up in a notebook or sketched up on a sort of graph paper or whatever.
It feels very raw and ununiform in a way, even though it's finished.
Yeah, and I like to do this. I like to add, if I use like typography or if I create my own typography for posters, which I often do, I always like to add these sort of handmade, like hand interaction assets, and I think that kind of gives a feeling of the person who's behind this poster.
Yeah, craft. It feels like craft, like it's been done with paper and pen and then brought in, which is really lovely.
Yeah, and then this was the last one, which again was just playing with these little line elements and actually creating borders, and then again just showing this sort of graduation in color and how far can we push that before, you know, is it visible? Is it your eyes playing tricks on you? Is there a gradient? Is it blocks of color? And again, just trying to push that a little bit. So that was day one. So I think that there's some interesting sort of developments with those.
It's wonderful.
And then this was yesterday. We started to look at
totally different day.
Yeah, so
it's like night and day.
I know,
it's just a completely different set of posters. I love it.
Yeah,
but it's still rooted in Bauhaus, and it's still rooted in the typography that Erik Spiekermann and the students created.
Yeah,
it's
and
amazing.
I think what I've been like really trying to do is show how I can interpret this, how it interprets into my style. So instead of it looking super Bauhaus, as some people might know Bauhaus, I just want to show it in my interpretation, which is often how I approach poster design. If it's for an event or if it's for a music event, it's my interpretation of that music and how that then comes out in a graphic sort of representation.
Yeah, speaking of that, Tima had asked a really great question. Do you think that Bauhaus, he agrees that it's a great movement, but do you think that the masters would have wanted us to continue their old legacy or evolve it into a new Bauhaus, different from what they used to look like?
I definitely think evolve, 100%, yeah. I think that you learn from the masters, or you understand graphic practice, the rules. Yeah. And then I think it's good to break those rules and to do something new and to explore something new. So I think always reference, I think it's good to reference art, even classical art. I sometimes even look at like the Renaissance period.
Completely.
Like I'm talking like painters and stuff like this, even sculptors. And I think even taking elements from that, if it's the curves or if it's the textures, and then reintroducing it into your own style and into your own interpretation, I think is way more interesting than just mimicking.
Well, it's much better than looking at current designers, because then you're just borrowing a style versus going back to what's been created from scratch, like very early on, and then you're adapting the knowledge and creating your own style.
Yeah.
So it's really...
I think that's important, because otherwise you go into Pinterest and everything looks the same.
Exactly.
Or you go on to like Behance and everything looks the same.
Exactly.
So I think it's good to interpret it and develop it into your own sort of impression.
Looking back is looking forward.
Yes, I like that, yeah. Okay, so with this one we were looking at, so Tuesday we did color, and Wednesday we did form, and this was looking at form and referencing Paul Klee. So kind of introducing this idea of nature, balance, geometry, and how that interacted like together on a poster. So this first one we were using the second typeface that's been released, which is Xant, with an X.
Yeah.
X-A-N-T. That's an
it's interesting to say. Yeah.
And this is quite interesting because it's super delicate. It feels really stencily, I think, in contrast to the Yoshmite one. But it has this sort of really lovely little delicate sort of feel to it. It feels really beautiful, this one, whereas the other one I think feels almost quite heavy and stamp-like, and it's got its authority, whereas this one feels a little bit more delicate. It feels like it's got a wee bit more of like a soft characteristic to it, which is strange because it's very sort of linear in its form. And then just kind of in this sort of idea of the interaction of shapes, so creating these little interactions where it almost feels like the ball's just about to fall off the rectangle, and it's all just kind of, you can almost see it moving even though it's
completely.
not moving.
It feels very playful and like it's going to topple over and I should hold my hands out at any moment
to pick it up, sort of thing. And then with this one we were kind of exploring how we could push the font itself, so using the font as a basis to create these sort of interesting sort of interactions of color, adding in a little bit more of these sort of illustrative elements to give the feeling of movement, and again playing with sort of textural overlays, which with this one we just kind of went with like a grain instead of the full sort of scanning sort of crafty feel. And I think this was quite interesting because it almost feels like you want to take this apart. Yeah. And then that's like what we
blocks.
did on the next one.
Like, and then we did that.
Yeah, so then using again, this is like a framing for this poster, we went in and we started to draw into it. So we picked out the shapes that already like existed within the type and created these new forms that we then explored in this sort of format. And I think this one to me feels quite editorial. It feels a little bit more like book cover. But I think there's a really interesting play on, I don't know, the balance and what's going on here. Like, how is this ball levitating up here? Like, what's attached to? And I think that creates quite an interesting dynamic between all these different shapes.
Amazing.
And then the last one was taking one of the characters, or a few of the characters, I think it was a P, it was Paul, that was it. We took the P, A, U and L and separating them into each of their actual forms. So this thin line came from the U, I think it was this one actually, it came from the U, and then this one from the A, this from the P, and then taking them all completely apart and reassembling them to create a completely new composition. And how does that feel, and what, you know, what sort of shapes does that create? And I think that this one...
The textures are great too. You've overlaid them in a way that's very unnatural, but it feels right.
So this one, we've got like multiple textures, and instead of it just sitting across the entire canvas, we've kind of cut them off and put them into the corner and then overlaid them multiple times over one another. And it creates these interesting, almost sort of mistakes within the poster.
It's great.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. And then the final one from yesterday was looking at the full quote. So instead of just like honing in on like one letter or one character, we're exploring if we use all of the characters in the entire quote and how that might feel, and using the typography really small instead of like before where we've been pushing it and pulling it out and blowing it up. And I think that this one almost has more of like a sort of social Instagram-y feel, or almost quotation.
Completely. But it feels like it's holding that quote together.
But again, it's just an interesting sort of development from something like this.
And you also have the lines from the G earlier on that connect the two as a part of the series.
Yeah, so that was kind of, I think with each, I've tried to create some feeling of like a series or a sort of progression in each of the posters, so that if you saw these up on a wall, they'd kind of feel like they all belong together. Together.
For sure.
Okay, so then today.
Today. So if you guys are just joining us right now, we have Caterina Bianchini here. Welcome everybody. Welcome Olivier, Yuri, Tima, Milou, Arturo, Cyril, Caroline, so many people. This is great having you all here. And Caterina is going to look at creating a whole new set of posters today. And tell us a little bit about what you're going to do now.
So today I am going to look at for the final day, I thought I'd save the best for last.
Ooh.
Maybe. Let's see how it
Maybe.
goes.
You never know, right? You're like,
I mean, I
yes.
literally don't know what I'm going to do. But so we're going to look at some typography today. I think we're going to really hone in on the type element, seeing as this whole project is about the Bauhaus type and reinventing the type. Again, we're going to be working with our two fonts, Zantz and Yoshmit, but today we're going to be trying to use both of them. So maybe these won't feel super, I suppose, consistent as like a whole group, but we'll see. And I think today I'm going to kind of look at the structure of type. I'm going to look at how we can push it to create like new compositions and something a little bit more fun. And also I want to try and do like some exercises in type as characteristics. So if it's shy type, how does it look? If it's like a big bold type, how does that look? Yeah, playful, whatever. Trying, because I think typography to me and type to me is something that always feels like it's got a characteristic or it's got some sort of personality to it.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's something that I want to try and explore today. So today I'm going to look at Herbert Baer, who was a famous sort of typographer in the Bauhaus era. He was actually a teacher at the Bauhaus. So he was, you know, instead of being a student, he kind of taught, he did his own lectures. And it was all these sort of interesting sort of poster designs and typography that he did. So again, like I always kind of start just by doing a wee bit of sort of referencing and visual reference. And I just kind of open up the things I like the look of and what I think is working. So I'm just going to go in here and look at these posters. I think there's some really cool colors going on in these ones. Interesting sort of shapes. Let me just
It's great to see your process on how you start to think about what you're going to design and where you're pulling your inspiration from.
Yeah, I think that it's always good, especially if you're working with a theme or like if you're trying to reference a certain period. I think it's always good to just look at these things as a reference, you know, as a point of a starting point. I think it helps you, you know, it allows you to kind of think about what you're going to do next and how it's going to evolve and how you want it to kind of feel. So I'm just kind of looking. I think like the only thing is sometimes lots of things that aren't actually by Herbert Baer come up, so you have to be a wee bit careful as to what you choose so that you're not just pulling in crazy stuff. I love this. I love the play and typography on this one here. It's amazing. Okay, I think I've got a few here that I'm going to pull in. This is interesting for the grid.
I feel like so many great album covers have been inspired by
oh yeah, definitely.
this work.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So I think there's some cool stuff here. So let's just pull in some of this into the artboard. Oh, that's my emails.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Incredible.
I love the colors.
Yeah.
I love the colors in this one. I think today
that one's
maybe,
very much like a, you know, with the textures, it feels right on for you.
Yeah. I think maybe today we go full primary.
Ooh.
You know?
Love it.
I think yesterday was more like, I don't know, it was a very specific palette. Maybe more tonal, I think. Well, I think day one was more tonal. Yesterday was more all sitting within a sort of pastel-y color palette. And I think today we'll go primary.
Love it.
It's super crazy.
Keep them all very distinct sets.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And maybe I'll show some of the sort of tricks I do to try and make my typography always feel a bit more interesting if I'm working on a poster, little things that I do that kind of create a sort of distinction, I suppose, between them. So Herbert Baer had this really interesting quote as well, that he would, where he'd kind of explore this idea of just using non-caps letter forms, so lowercase letter. I forgot the word there.
Yeah, you're like, the non-caps. I like it. It's still correct.
I mean lowercase.
It's like key commands. Everyone has a different way to get to the same thing. Yeah, it all makes the same sense.
All does the same thing in the end.
Exactly, I love it.
But yeah, so like lowercase, and he used to kind of say that when we speak, we don't. He said that they were kind of almost like two different alphabets.
Yeah.
So he was like, and when we talk, we don't have two different alphabets, which is we don't say uppercase A, we just say A. Whereas he was like, we write in a different alphabet, which is where we use the uppercase A.
Yeah, it is strange.
And it is strange. If you actually think about it, it's a really unusual.
Although, when I want to yell in a text, I will use uppercase.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is some ways to use it.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, capital H-E-Y, exclam.
Well, isn't it so funny though that that's like become
yelling
a thing?
Yeah, it's like to get attention.
Like tones though.
Completely.
In text message.
And like italics is like maybe or emphasize.
I wonder where that why?
Yeah, why?
Where did that come from? Does anyone know?
Yeah, Arturo's asking the same questions. Why is the uppercase linked to yelling? I think because it's loud. Since it's bold, it feels louder.
Yeah, maybe.
So, using all uppercases isn't really necessary, but it definitely gets your attention, just like if you were to yell at someone.
So maybe, I wonder if, so I'm going to use Herbert Bayer's name today because the quote that I have from him is that why do we write and print with two different alphabets simultaneously? We do not speak a capital A and a small a. So that's the official quote, but it's really long. So
yeah. It's a long one.
Yeah, I think today I'll probably use more like one of the characters or something. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. I think we'll start with the Yoshmit. Because it's really sort of stencily and interesting. With this, we have different E's, which are lovely.
So great.
Yeah, so maybe we'll start with that big sort of E and pull that in.
Yeah, the fonts have been so well developed, having so many different glyphs and different forms for each letter. It's kind of like a treasure in itself. When you open up glyphs, you're like, oh, there's other ways. Cool.
I mean, it's amazing. The variety within them. So I'm going to just outline this, and I'm going to blow it up. And I think what I'm going to do with this is maybe try something that I kind of think would work quite interesting with this because it's such a geometric form is repetition. So if we use this form and then we blow it up and we blow it up and we blow it up, let's see how that starts to feel, what that starts to look like. And I think it would be interesting if we kind of put a border.
Yeah, I immediately see a razor blade when I see that E. It's just, it's such a strange thing. Or like a telephone.
I wonder why. It's just like...
Well, I mean, on the side, obviously.
Yeah. I'm going to go super sort of actually take it from the palette. I actually might just I'm just changing this to RGB because I think it'll work better for what we're doing today.
Yeah, so chat, if you have any questions for Caterina, feel free to type them in there and we'll get to them as best we can.
So this one I think might be quite a sort of quick exploration, but I just want to see how it looks and then we can... I feel like I want to try loads of stuff today.
Oh yeah, you're like, I have to. You're like, I definitely have to. Yes, Miguel, the portfolio reviews, if you enter your portfolio on the portfolio submissions, you have a chance to get your portfolio reviewed in about an hour.
Yeah, cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone's work. Okay, so I've just I've put this in this border because I feel like it'll become a little bit easier when we start to duplicate things. So this is going to be a super simple exploration. So I'm copying and I'm pasting in place. I don't know if that's kind of what you say.
Nice.
And then we're just going to kind of blow this up. And I'm not really doing it by any particular sort of quantity every time. I'm just kind of doing it as how I feel looks. Make sure that it's grouped, otherwise when you use your automatic
Yeah.
until it just goes crazy.
You're like, you better group things.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, everyone at home, make sure you're grouping your letters.
Honestly, the amount of times I forget to do
Yeah,
it.
right? I do too. I think everybody's like, oh man, Command Z.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we're already getting like a super interesting
It's cool.
dynamic in between this. And I wonder if it actually might be worth going in. And I would be tempted to, I mean, I'm really bad for this, but I love just pulling stuff out
Oh yeah.
and kind of creating something that feels a bit, I mean, Erik might be really upset.
I don't know. I feel like he would have something fun to say about it.
Yeah, maybe.
He'd be like, look, my friends have now an egg.
Yeah.
You know?
But it creates this really sort of interesting, almost like
so
illustrative
cool.
effect. And I think
And again, I want to turn my head to look at it, so you've got me.
That's
you know,
a
I'm
good
like,
thing,
oh,
right?
what's going on there?
I'm almost
So
tempted
cool.
to see what happens if we reverse the
It
colors.
feels like a stage and there's a play.
Yeah, that's so like if we do maybe something like so I'm going back and I'm ungrouping them and I'm kind of actually reversing
Very cool.
the colorways so that
All right, guys, we're gonna get ready to do a chat and win. So as long as you guys are in the chat, make some action, and we're gonna do a little bit of bottle hype. Bottle hype, yeah. Who wants bottle? I mean, I do. I want a bottle. Are you guys ready? All right, go. Cat to win. A bottle. I want a bottle. Bottle hype. Everyone loves bottles.
I mean it's a good one, right? So
Yeah, it is a good one.
Is it plastic?
I believe it's aluminum. It's like one of the metal bottles.
Which is
so
better.
See?
That's a lot better for
Yeah,
you as
reusable,
well.
it hovers. You can hug it. Exactly. So many things. All right, I'm really curious, but I think we may have found a winner. I think the bot is going through right now. Do, 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 do. Bottle. Winner.
So I'm just playing with textures here for anyone that's still.
Oh, the textures are looking cool.
Yeah, it creates something.
Yeah, when you turned that on, it was very interesting.
Yeah. I've decided I don't like this yellow.
Yes, Mel, you can put coffee in it. I think you can put just about anything in this bottle. Ah, and we do have a winner. It is Angela Trenton. Congratulations, Angela. You have won the bottle. Nice job.
Woo.
Woohoo! It'll be coming your way. Everyone, sorry you didn't win. Angela is the winner.
Angela.
Great job, Angela. Way to be vocal in chat. See? If you just typed like Angela did, then you could have won.
What's she gonna do with her body?
I don't know. Angela, tell us, what are you going to do with this fame? What will you put in your bottle first?
Okay, so I've actually gone in and kind of changed this a little bit, but I feel like it's looking better.
Nice.
Sometimes it doesn't just always work out the first way, you know?
Ah, she's going to put flowers in her bottle. That's great.
Oh, that's
I love
sweet.
that. Super. Ooh, that is looking very cool.
Okay, so
It's got this great like impact to it.
Yeah.
Feels very, I don't
It's
know,
interesting.
bold and large, and
I wonder if we still see the E in there.
I see the E.
Yeah?
I see a lot of things.
Okay, so let's try some more. I'm gonna go a bit crazy today. I think I'm gonna try and show you guys if I kind of have a lot of type that I'm using on a poster.
Claudia is asking what kind of tablet you're using.
Oh, so it's a Wacom. I think it's a bamboo, but it's small.
Tiny little one, little bamboo Wacom tablet.
It's just eensy weensy. It's not super big. Okay, so often, like if I find I'm using like a lot of typography on one poster and it's feeling quite heavy, or I feel like I want to try and put something new in it that feels a little bit different, I'll often go in and kind of play with warping the font.
Yeah.
And Bauhaus, actually, they did that a lot. Like they used to draw a lot on like sort of what we would say like drawing on a path now. You know, like semicircles, or like going in and really playing with the typography. So I work most of the time in Illustrator. That's probably like the place where I do most of my sort of like poster design, type manipulation. And I love the bloat tool.
Yeah.
Like, this is so cool. So usually I'll probably make it a wee bit bigger because it feels like it's quite small. Intensity 50. And with this, it is really like, you know, you kind of have to try it a couple of times. Sometimes it works first time, sometimes it doesn't. But you just go in. So this is so intense.
You're like, that one's too much.
That's too intense. So
you're like, just what I thought.
20. And you see, it creates
cool,
these really cool sort of like bloats.
Yeah, it looks like it's under a magnifying glass.
It's interesting. And I think if you're just clever with where you put them, it can create like a lot of impact on the...
Completely.
So this is something that you can do if you're kind of doing like a poster design for like a music night, say.
Yeah.
Or something. I think we can...
It feels very Fillmore, you know? From the Fillmore Theater in San Francisco.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
what is
yeah.
this? Tell me. What is it?
It's a pretty famous theater where they used to do a poster for every show, and they still do.
Oh, I love. That's
but
so cool.
Very big in the 70s, and they have a really great poster collection.
Really?
Incredible. Yeah, you'd love it.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, if you're in San Francisco, you should go see a show there and yeah, check it out. They have posters on the wall, the entire interior of the place.
Wow.
But yeah, this one would fit right in.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking a wee bit about my colors.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Just don't want
I like how psychedelic it looks.
Do you
know?
I suppose a few of these actually do.
Yeah,
Like,
both of them do right now.
Yeah.
I think it's
a
bit
of a
starting to be a
theme.
theme.
I'm just going to pick out some colors because I always find that kind of helps a little bit when you're getting into stuff, because you can start to see sort of combinations as well, things that kind of work together.
Nice.
And I think that always makes it a wee bit easier rather than just...
Yeah, I'm a fan of tone on tone. I like that.
Yeah, I quite like that too. Okay, so maybe get a red. I think we need like a proper green, like a really sort of primary green. And a yellow, I think, is something we also...
Yes, Olivia is asking what the link is to Bauhaus. If you're just joining in, the link is mainly the typography that Caterina is using is directly from the Bauhaus Dessau archives, and Erik Spiekermann was here on Tuesday with us, and he had explained and talked through the Bauhaus type, how it was created, how it was found. So if you want to replay that, you can always go to replays on the top of the tab and see Tuesday's episode. It was pretty great, and he walked through a presentation that showed the background of the photography that was taken so that they could even like translate the type to letter forms, and even some of the specimens. It was really cool.
It was really
interesting. It was neat to
interesting.
see the behind the scenes of how everything was found and then translated.
No, it was super interesting. I think as well it was amazing to see how the typographers had used like the old Bauhaus as a reference point, and how they then used it to create these new fonts that people are going to be using like now. I think it's an interesting sort of...
Totally.
thing to see, how they reinterpreted them as well.
Yeah, and also, if you guys aren't aware, you can download the first 2 fonts that have been released, which Caterina's been using over the past 3 days. It's free to download on Adobe on behance.net, and pretty amazing because they're beautiful typefaces. It's really fun to play around with. The last 2 days we've had logo challenges, which have been amazing work by everyone.
Yeah, that's been really good to see. I've really loved seeing that.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of going in and like I always try and like finish off posters by adding these sort of crafty little elements.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
if you guys have been watching,
It's a Caterina signature.
it's a bit of a signature, yeah.
I love it.
But I think that this is quite interesting. So sometimes if you have loads of type and you feel like you want to add something more to the poster, you want to add something that feels a little bit different, this is a good way to sort of explore it. And I think that this kind of creates a little bit of an interesting dynamic. And even if it was like, say, for like a club night or something, I would go in and I'd maybe like draw some hand-done lines like at the bottom here.
It's great.
And introduce some typography at the bottom. I don't know, some extra sort of font. I like everything to feel a little bit more. I think mainly like when I'm building posters, it's more about just having fun, exploring and like just introducing interesting elements and having fun with it, not being too sort of strict with yourself and anything that you're trying to do. So I think, like, to me, this is looking quite cool. Maybe on this one, because we've got that sort of background, we could try and actually add in his,
oh yeah, the really long quote.
The really long quote, we could try.
You never know. I mean, you did pull it out. You may
know.
as well put it in there somewhere, or at least have it on your page.
I know. Right, let's see if I can do this without making any.
Yeah, I agree, Gus. It blows my mind, too, how quickly Caterina works. Yeah, the complex design decisions are very, very on point.
I think, though, the thing is, like, I always go, I don't even know how you spell simultaneously. It's probably wrong. I think I just always, I go back and change things. Like, you know, I'm already going off that first poster I've just done, so this is, being in my mind is a bit complex.
I love, you're like, it's very complex in here. There's like a lot of design decisions going on.
But you know, doesn't everyone do that? Like, you need to just get into the swing of it a wee bit. So sometimes you start it and you do it and I don't know.
For sure.
And things don't feel always as good as they initially do. So for me, I'd have this like the way it feels right to me would be to have it as like a sort of secondary element in the bottom of the poster somewhere, getting people to kind of come up and really look at what this is. And this, in terms of like layout, feels good to me.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, let's move on.
You're like, we're done with this one.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna bin the first poster. I already have a feeling.
Too funny.
I did that yesterday.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's true though. It's like you're getting like
You
just
get
started,
into it.
you know? Like,
Yeah.
It's like starting a car. You're like, I let it run for a little bit and then it goes really fast.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to try and focus on the H with this one. And I'm going to choose the H with the little circle. So in the glyph palette.
Oh, I loved that one.
Yeah, I'm going to do a couple with this one, and then I'm going to, with the Yoshmit font, and then I'm going to move on and try doing a few with the stencil font.
Amazing. And for those of you who are following along, don't forget we have portfolio review in about an hour, maybe a little less than an hour actually.
Ooh,
so
exciting.
please submit your portfolios. There's a portfolio submission tab to the right of the frame, and you can submit to have Caterina review your work. Pretty cool.
Exciting, I really can't.
You're like, I can't wait.
Yeah. Okay, so
Ooh.
I'm going to try playing a little bit with some perspective, which is something that the Bauhaus typographers did all the time. They kind of love to play with perspective and explore. So I'm using the shear tool in Illustrator, which allows you to kind of put things at angles, and it's just in here, shear tool, and create a little bit more of a sort of interesting, I suppose, perspective when you're working on things.
Amazing.
So I'm going to go in and I'm going to just play with this a little bit more. I want it to feel just a wee bit more flat.
I love the shear tool.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
And sometimes
helpful.
I think you kind of just need to sometimes cheat a wee bit and pull things out. Because you've sheared it
Arturo's like, shear it, girl. I agree. Shear it. It's the new thing. Instead of get, it's shear.
Okay, so I'm thinking maybe I've sheared it a bit too much now. Just see, it's actually so delicate though, this tool.
Yeah.
As you can see.
You can have it flip out really easy.
It literally just goes mad sometimes.
I know. Sometimes like,
yes, it's random.
You're like, oh man.
Yeah, would you just work for me?
Yeah, do what's in my mind.
Being recorded. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to play a little bit with the outline and repetition. So I think for this, I'm going to outline this. I'm going to make sure that I've got an inside color, which is the same as the background. And I'm going to do Command and paste in place. Paste in place. And you're just going to pull it down a couple of points. I'm just going to, I'm basically selecting this top layer, the back layer, and I'm sending everything to the back. So it creates this interesting, almost like paper-like sort of thing.
Little layers.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this a bunch of times so that we start to get this. Once you've done it a couple of times, you can start to...
Yeah, and I think you can even do it with Shift-Command-D, and it'll do it in place.
Oh, wow.
It'll duplicate it into the next place over and over and over again.
What do I do?
I
I'm
think
learning.
it's Shift-Command-D. And then it will
D.
Oh, nope. I was like, nope, just kidding. I don't have mine open. My key commands are in my mind, not in my fingers.
It's so much. No, I do know that you can do that. If someone knows how to do it, tell me.
Yeah, tell us how to do it.
I always forget how to do it.
Command plus D. Just Command D. That's right, not Shift.
Oh, it's Command D?
Just Command D, and it dupes it down to the place that you had dragged it to. Yep, duplicate it once, and then if you do Command D, it'll do it again.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Just one of them, just one shape. Yeah.
Oh, you have to do it with one shape?
Yep.
Okay.
So if you pull one down.
Okay, so what? Command paste and pull it down?
So, yep.
Okay, and then Command D?
Oh.
I don't know what's happening. Maybe mine is a different way.
You do you. Yeah.
We'll leave it for now. But if you guys know how to do that, it probably won't take us long.
You're like, well, there you go.
So yeah, this is creating some cool...
Yeah, it's like buildings.
Yeah, like sort of interesting perspective. We're getting a little bit of playfulness in here. You know, sometimes it's quite cool if you kind of go in and you actually fill some of them. So that it creates a little bit more of a dynamic. And then this again is just a cool little typography thing that you can do that,
it's a great
makes
technique.
It feel a little bit more interesting.
For sure.
So I think as like a sort of feels quite constructivist, this one,
it makes it not look like typography anymore.
Yeah.
It's no longer a letter, it is a system of buildings.
Right. Yeah, it's cool.
I think I've seen that in Detroit. Some very like brutalist buildings.
It does feel like super sort of brutalist.
Right.
And then with this, you could make it a wee bit cartoony. So it's like, it looks like it's almost like going up and down.
Yeah.
Like if it was making a noise, I wonder what noise it would be making.
Totally. Those are all the people walking around. Just masses of them.
But again, but something quite interesting. So for me, I feel like because we've not done loads with what we're doing, like kind of in terms of actually building out shapes and stuff, I'm going to go in, I'm going to play a little bit with the background and maybe bring in another tone or bring in something else in here, just to give it a little bit of
It's funny, Olivia says it's like Bauhaus casinos. I like that, totally.
Yeah, I like that too.
It's super funny. If Bauhaus were to be the new Vegas, these would be their buildings. Ooh, I like what you're doing with the colors here.
So yeah, we're just kind of building in some shape just to give it a wee bit more feeling and texture, so it's not just a super sort of simple. And I'm just kind of staying on the same yellow scale, but I'm just
Yeah.
kind of going in and pulling out different hues so that it feels a little bit more interesting.
I love how different these all are, yet they still feel like they're from the same era.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what we want. So with this one, I'm going to go in and maybe just try out a couple of different overlay techniques, see if there's, so this one I think is working nicely. Got a soft light, and maybe we'll kind of bring in a bit more of that scan-in texture on this one. And again, I love how this kind of makes everything feel. And I'm going to do my repetitive sort of scan-in thing where I kind of duplicate, and it starts to create these interesting little textures.
Yeah, I love that vibrant orange that's coming through.
Okay, so I think on the next one, I'm going to play a little bit with this idea of like typography as characters. So if something was shy, let's say, how would that look if it was like a font on a page?
Yeah.
So I think for this one, I might play with Xant because it's a little bit more delicate in terms of its output. And maybe we'll even just use, or let's use Herbert.
We'll make Herbert shy.
Herbert shy. Yeah, let's make
Nice.
Herbert shy.
He's gonna be shy.
So to me, if something's like a bit shy, it was maybe like cowering or like sitting in one position. You know, it's kind of feeling like it's hiding a little bit. So I'm going to play a wee bit with just going in here and pulling them sort of into the corner. Just making them feel a little bit like they're scared to move.
They're like, I don't want to come out.
Yeah. So how does this feel? You're just kind of playing. And I think that typography, especially when it's used in posters, it's always supposed to be quite an emotive thing. So I think it's always like interesting to see how you can represent emotions or show emotion through the way that you apply typography and how you use it. So I'm just going to kind of go in and I'm kind of trying to make them interact a little bit with one another. So we're just kind of, we've got a wee bit of this sort of overlaying, kind of interlocking. You know, they don't want to leave each other. They're too scared.
Yeah, I'm curious how many of you out there in the chat are utilizing these fonts already. I know a few of you, Amanda and Tima, are saying that they love Xant. So I'm curious if you guys have downloaded it and started using it. And not just for logos for the past 2 days. I'm excited about this. I can't wait to start using it.
Yeah, I think there's some amazing things that can be done with these.
Yeah.
I think this one especially is just so interesting. And
I really like the other one. I'm so drawn to the geometry of the other one.
Yeah.
But this one's really elegant.
This one's elegant.
Even though, like you said yesterday, it's kind of like military-like.
Yeah, it does feel a wee bit, there's something unusual in it.
Nice. Nate used it several times this week. Perfect.
Cool.
Nice. Everybody's using it. This is great.
People should upload them to their Behance so that we can see.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay, so this is we're getting something here, you know? It's kind
Yeah.
of, they're all like in the corner. They're feeling a little bit like they don't really want to move from this corner. This is where they just want to stay. They want to be left alone.
They're like, please don't bug us. We're in the corner. We're just fonts. We're just letters.
Little fonts. And then again, just sort of how do we apply color to this and how do we bring it a wee bit more to life?
Yes. And Heidi, you're right. There are 3 more fonts to come. When they'll be coming, we don't know. That's the surprise that you keep watching for.
Ooh, I can't wait for those.
I
There's
know,
some
me
I
too.
absolutely love.
Yeah, the one with the S that looks very structured is so great. I can't remember what that one.
No,
It
I
didn't have a
can't
name
remember.
yet. Yeah, it was unnamed.
I just really love the ones that feel really thick and fat, like almost like stamp-like. I think there's some super interesting ones.
They were so great.
So what I'm doing here in like the colors that I've decided to use is as well reflecting this idea of like shyness, and it's this whole sort of feeling of this sort of really dark color with these sort of almost lighter colors, and they're kind of hiding within this blue. So they're not like shouting, it's not super contrasty, and it's kind of again just having a concept and building that through into like multiple sort of design references and in how you build your design.
Yeah, and you're also starting to see a theme come to life when you look at the three together, having this like tone on tone and monochromatic feel. They definitely look like they're part of a family.
I think the tone on tone is nice. I think
it's very different from the last 2 days.
Yeah, and I think that it kind of creates an interesting sort of dynamics between the like what is on the actual poster and what like in the colors that you're using. So it creates this sort of, I think it's really easy to use loads of colors on one poster, but I think it's harder to use two or restrict yourself to like one color.
Yeah.
I often like to try and just design in like black and white because for me, I use so much color all the time that I think that actually when you're designing in black and white, it's almost a little bit more hard because
it helps with form and function too.
Yeah, exactly. So if this is really simple, I think these ones are all, today we're going for like more of like the simplicity. We're kind of just building out these sort of little ideas that it kind of feels, I don't know. I feel like we need some sort of like line form in here because I feel like the other two have this sort of line idea integrated into them. So I think it would be nice to try and build something.
Cece is asking, why do you not use a white background?
Is that a suggestion?
No, she's more of like a question. Like, why do you never use a white background?
I mean, I do
sometimes.
No, I mean, actually.
You're like, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking, no, I do, but actually I don't really. I think it's easy to use a white background. I think it's way harder. If you put like a huge piece of blue or something like on a poster and then try and put typography on top of it, I find that that's way more difficult to achieve. Whereas I think if you're using like a white background with like the elements on top, I think that that's almost a wee bit easier. And also for me, I find white, I love white in brand identity and minimalist design and exploring that sort of element of the use of white. But I think in terms of like posters, for centuries, posters have been used to like grab people's attention and show some sort of emotion. And I think that color, especially in like psychological terms, has a massive effect on how somebody can perceive something or interact with something or how they feel towards something. So I think in terms of getting like a super initial feeling from people, it's good to use color.
Yeah, but also, I think it's also become part of your aesthetic too.
Yeah,
I think like when we look at your body of work, the color is very inherent and it's very much you.
Yeah.
I love looking at it as a whole, even not just project by project, but the colors themselves that you use, just like you had talked about your palettes on your screen. You keep your palettes.
Yeah.
You know, it's very informative of your design style.
I think as well, like if I'm being totally honest, I just love using color.
Yeah.
So it's not
You're like, I just like it better.
Yeah. It's
that
not
can
like
be an answer too.
always
right?
yeah, exactly.
She just likes it.
I just like it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think with this one I might actually draw into the font a wee bit.
Oh, nice. Yes.
So I'm just
everyone's like, yay, lines.
Yeah, today I'm using lots of lines. Let's see. Just trying to get like a lighter blue so it feels a little bit like it's... So yeah, I actually might even go in and like actually draw into... I'm gonna just reduce this a wee bit. Drawing in to the actual font and how...
Nice. Oh, this is looking cool. It's kind of like it wants to be seen, but not really. You know, it's like, I really, really want you to notice me, but I'm scared.
Yeah, so I think...
Like maybe a little, I'm peeking out.
Yeah.
So your shy type is going well. This is great.
But it just, again, it creates this, it almost looks like they're glowing now in the dark, which I think is quite cool.
It's very cool.
And then just because I feel like with my aesthetic, I kind of feel like I almost want to put something in the top. So I'm actually going to just like hand draw a bit of a grid, and I'm going to sit this behind. And I think like a lot of it, like I get asked all the time about like, how do you like design and why do you decide to do things? And a lot of it is, I must admit, just like pure intuition. It's just something I feel like I want to do when I'm designing. It's like, it's my eye telling me that I feel like something kind of needs to be put in a certain place, or
you feel like something's missing, or like something's too much, or you need more or you need less.
So I think that that's what I'm just...
It's a good gut feeling to have, you know?
Yeah.
You need to trust yourself. I think more designers should trust themselves.
I really agree with that. I think that a lot of people should be more experimental with what they're doing, and you know, not be scared to kind of, if they feel like something looks right, then maybe it does just look right. Maybe it doesn't always have to be like by the book.
No, and it doesn't have to look like everything else. I think that's what we're seeing a lot of these days, is a lot of repetition and style.
Experimentation. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think this is starting to look a little bit.
Yeah, this is getting cool.
A little bit more interesting. I've just pulled that blue up a wee bit. And I'm going to turn this down a little bit because we're working with such close tones and tones. And I think I'm quite happy with that for now. So it's creating different elements, layering, introducing some interesting things. And I think now as a set, these are starting to look quite interesting.
Yeah, I love this set. And it goes back to your initial thoughts, which were primary.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying with the primary sort of thing. I think my favorite...
You just did it intuitively.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't even really realize. You were like, I'm doing primary. And then you're like, okay, I'm not. But then you did anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's just already in your mind. You had already planned it in your head.
I was obviously thought that I was like not going to do it, and then ended up
you're like, maybe not. You're like, no, I did.
Yeah.
Again, intuition, happy accidents, which are actually planned and thought through.
Okay, so maybe with this one, we'll try going playful. So if a type was like playful, how would I like interpret that in typography? So my initial like feeling would be to like really sort of mess stuff up, get in here, move it all around, and just be get it really moving about the page. And let's see.
So great. And for those of you watching, we've got about a half an hour until portfolio reviews. So submit your portfolio and you may be selected. We're gonna select 2 portfolios to be reviewed by Caterina. So definitely get your portfolios in there. You wanna get your work shown and have a great critique. Yesterday and the day before, Caterina gave great feedback on the logos that we looked through. So I'm really excited about this. I know you are too. You're like, I can't wait to see
I love
all the work.
it. I love seeing people's work, so I'm really
Totally.
looking forward to it.
Tim Mo Beast, what's up? Hey man, welcome back.
So with this, I'm going in and I'm like kind of playing with it and making it almost look like there's some sort of structure to these. You're kind of putting in these little arrows, like drawing the eye to certain things.
Totally.
And I think this is now looking quite cool.
They kind of look like they're playing a game together or dancing, you know, like dance instructions where it's like put your foot here and your other foot there.
Yeah, there's something cool.
Amazing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had some fireworks.
I was like, what's the
You looked up, you're like, ooh, fireworks.
I'm just so engrossed in these posters.
Very exciting. You never know what's happening behind you, right?
Okay, so.
Super.
Let's just, I've gone so Italy. I've just gone super Italian flag there.
You're like, my roots, you know.
I think I'll maybe actually just stick with the red. And then I'm gonna go.
Still red.
Yeah.
Cool.
So let's just play with a bit of two-tone. Have we used, no, we've not used a red yet. Okay, so this is okay, I think.
Yes, I think it looks green on the screen because of the green screen. It's kind of funny, it's giving this vibration in a funny way.
Is that the same on the chat?
Nope, not anymore.
Oh, that's because I changed it.
Yep. Frank's like, I got this. He's like, I'm gonna help you ladies out.
I want this to kind of still be in the same hue, so I'm actually just gonna go back in And maybe just pull this in a wee bit. Yeah, I think that's looking more interesting.
Nice.
I'm like such a sucker for like this whole set thing, so I feel like
I love it. It's
I
great
wanna-
to see the set come alive. You're like, and we're getting rid of that one.
I'm bidding that one.
Again, there's always one that has to be thrown out, right?
I just
Every
wanna-
day you're like, not that one.
I like them to look a bit of like more of like a sequence.
Exactly. I think it's a good designer who can, critique themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, and say like
Okay.
what you feel is right for you.
Right. So I've decided now that I'm getting rid of that thing as well. Sorry, guys. Just going crazy
Sorry,
here.
guys.
Everyone's probably like, no, we like
Not
that,
that
one.
Exactly.
And I'm like, bye.
Yeah, you're like, see you later.
Okay,
Cool.
I just feel like I want to this is really like truly the way I work is genuinely if things aren't looking right, if I feel like something's distracting me in like the way that I'm like working with these, I try and get rid of it because I just feel like it's not having the effect I want it to have, in terms of actually creating something. So if we're going to stick with the whole sort of tonal thing, I suppose we should get rid of this black and let's introduce something. Oh, we've gone green again.
You're like, whoops.
Maybe this is quite cool because it's not super.
Yeah.
Let me just go back in.
Yuri says, we've lost an E in Herbert.
Her.
We
Oh,
lost
we
that E.
have.
Oh. I think it's in the blue. There was an E. I think it might be behind a layer somewhere.
I don't know. No, maybe I forgot.
No, you had it.
Oh, did I? Oh,
Yeah,
did I have it
you
here?
did. Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah, it was
It
here.
was there.
I think I deleted it by mistake.
You're like, I'll add it back.
This is me just being crazy and deleting everything, but good job.
Yeah, chat's like, there's an E missing. Ah.
I like that they're watching it so closely.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. Keeping an eye on what I'm up to.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see as well, like what everyone's favorite day of design was if they've tuned in from the beginning and even
definitely.
from showing them
Chat,
today.
what do you guys think?
What was the
Tuesday, Wednesday, or
best?
Thursday? Day 1, day 2, or day 3? The battle is on.
See what people think.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Okay, I'm gonna go in. I'm just gonna make sure that this is all feeling pretty coherent in the sort of style and the colors that we're using. I want it to all feel like one. These are, I suppose, pretty simple posters, but it just shows you if you like sit for 2 hours and just explore something, explore how many different ways you can do something. Maybe it will create something that you can then build into a little bit more and you can introduce other elements too. Maybe with this one we could even add like a type border.
Oh, Tima says, every day we got to see you. We're the best.
That's
So sweet.
That's really nice.
Day 1, people liked.
What was day 1? Oh, Joseph Albers. Yeah,
And the discussion with Erik, I think that was really
Oh,
cool.
yeah, that was
You
good.
guys had a great discussion.
It was really interesting to hear the way that he spoke about, how type comes and how everything was developed as well. I think was super interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was really sweet too how he had mentioned that his wife is the designer and she uses color, and then he's like, I do the type.
Yeah,
I just
he
use
said
2
that.
basic colors. He's like
Yeah.
red and black.
But
yeah, it
maybe
was cute to know that they have this partnership that,
That they
one
work
of them
together.
is, yeah,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Right, I'm going to play with that in the next one, I think.
Arturo, you can always watch the Erik session on the replays button. So if you click replays on behance.net, you can see any of the shows from the past couple days and beyond.
Ooh, you should do it.
Yeah, it was great.
There was some interesting stuff.
Yeah, I feel like I learned a lot just listening to him talk about type in the way he thinks about it.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that everyone takes type as like a different sort of, I don't know, some people are really scared of typography.
Yeah.
And they're really scared to use it in posters, and they're really scared to explore it and just kind of manipulate it in some way. And then other people are really good with it and like, they love using it. Like for
Completely.
me, I love like really fat thick typography that I'll then go into and I'll kind of build stuff into, and I'll make it all a little bit bigger and, you know, pull out some of the letters or add on extra bits to the letters.
Yeah.
Whereas I think sometimes, like, I don't often use these sort of more delicate and intricate sort of fonts. So I think that this has been a bit of a challenge for me, and it's quite interesting to see how I've interpreted these. Even just for myself, it's interesting to see.
It seems more playful versus like a specific message, which is totally different ways to use type, just like you said.
Okay, so I think I might go in and try playing a little bit more with, you know, referencing these sort of rectangular shapes that we can see here, and using these sort of blocks of font and trying to build that into a sort of composition that feels a little bit closer to this sort of thing. So I think with this one, I'm going to give everything a sort of almost, I'm going to try and build some sort of like atrium behind the typography into some sort of big sort of graphic language. Let's see.
And don't forget to get your portfolios submitted in there, you guys. You've got about 15 more minutes to polish everything up and get it submitted for your chance to have Caterina take a look at your work. I know, getting excited.
So how many are we picking? 2?
2 portfolios will be reviewed today, yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna go in. I'm going to pull some of this out so that it fills the space. Again, still working with these sort of tonal things, tonal colors, so that it doesn't feel too far away from our original idea. I often just kind of go into the color palette and stay within the same hue and just kind of go up a couple of notches or whatever.
Cool.
So we're just going to pull this out. So these are going to be like our sort of building blocks.
Nice.
I think it'll be interesting to kind of pull
Right
this.
now it's very French, I like it.
Yes, that's true.
En français.
Just going to push this in a little bit. So we're starting to create something that's a bit more structural, a wee bit more complicated in terms of its...
Olivia's like, ouais, ouais. Or Dutch, that's right.
Or Dutch, yeah, that's true.
You're like, ouais, ouais. Oh, Caroline's asking, have you ever made your own typeface?
Yeah, so I kind of do, I don't do it like properly, I suppose. I kind of create stuff in Illustrator. I don't often build out an entire alphabet. So I'll often kind of go in and I'll sort of play with things a little bit and pull out words and add in my own sort of bridges to characters, and I'll usually use a typeface that I will base it on, and then I'll go in and kind of add in my own elements and stuff, yeah. So I enjoy doing that. I find it's something that's quite, I think especially when I'm working with brand identity, that's something I always do, is I always try and create something completely bespoke and completely new for the client.
Nice.
I'm actually going to go in and...
Oh, I like how blocky this one is.
I'm going to pull in some...
Very fun.
Pull in Bear, wherever he is. Have I... Maybe I deleted it. So I'm going to still keep with the Yoshimi. Yoshimit? I always think it's Yoshimi.
Yoshimi. You're like, Yoshimi.
It's a Japanese
I'm like,
version.
that's so cute. I love it.
And I'm just going to start building this out a wee bit more so it feels a wee bit more geometric, a wee bit more complex in terms of the things that we've been working with before. And I think it's always really good to just try and have as much fun as possible when you're designing. So
I love that. It's the best.
It is though, and I think
it's a good attitude to have.
About experimenting. And believe me, there is days where I cannot design. I think everyone gets that,
Yeah.
right? Like
you get a block where you're like, I just haven't done anything today, yet I've done so much.
I know, but also sometimes I just think today, I can't design today.
Yeah,
and I don't
today's
know
not
why
my
it's not
day.
happening, but it's just not happening. And I think
Yeah.
that if people ever feel a wee bit down about that sort of thing, like don't, because everyone...
You'll have a better day.
Yeah, and I think it's probably normal. It's just from working hard and...
Yeah,
So
you
that's
get
just-
blocked in your brain. You just, I think, what do you do when you feel like there's a block?
Okay, so usually if I feel a wee bit like that, I will avoid designing for that day, just because I think that you don't always kind of get the best work when you're feeling like that. It's usually something that you need to kind of listen to your mind a wee bit, and you need to give yourself a wee bit of a rest. And also you find that if you don't listen to, like, I suppose, data recovery.
You're like, okay, cool. You're like saving. This is good.
Yeah,
Thanks,
this is
Adobe.
something you
You're
should
like,
do.
because I probably should have saved by now, right? I like how I can turn that on now, and Adobe will save for me. I'm like, thank you. Because I won't do it myself, and then I'll lose things.
Honestly, though, I sometimes
It's the best feature.
It is the best feature, yeah.
I mean, then Command C.
But yeah, if I'm having a mental block, I will usually walk away from my computer for the day, and I will go and do something else. That is honestly the best advice I could possibly give for that, because
Take a walk outside.
Yeah, I think you need to
talk with friends. Get out of your own headspace.
You need to do it though,
Yeah.
because otherwise you just like. And also, I find if I have like creative block and I'm like sitting at my computer like trying to make a poster or something,
Yes.
I'm just pushing stuff around a page.
Totally. I feel the same way.
And it just doesn't work.
No, and then you just make a lot of like disagreeable things to yourself. You're like, I really don't like that, but I did it.
Yeah, I know.
And I just had to do it.
It's hard. So I'm just trying to kind of go in here and make something that feels a wee bit more geometric.
Nice.
I think next I might try just squidging some stuff, because we've not really gone in and interfered with the type yet, you know? We've kind of let it be, which is something I actually never do.
Yeah, I like this. This is fun.
It's starting to come.
Yeah, it's continuing on with this theme.
I feel like we need one more color to kind of, okay.
Yes, Tim. Tim for the win. 10 more minutes to submit your portfolio. Gotta get them in there. Exciting.
10 more minutes?
10 more minutes.
That's gone so fast.
I know. It always does, doesn't it?
That's crazy.
I know. But look at all you've done. I mean, this is a lot.
You think?
Yeah, of course.
I think my favorite ones were, I think maybe also Joseph Albert's
Yeah, the first
were
day?
my favorite ones, yeah.
I liked day 2. I liked
Did you?
Pokely, yeah. I just felt like it was so playful and lighthearted. And
It
the
was
color
super
palette was
playful.
really fun.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna just, I'm
I
just
like
trying
this.
to think about my colors here. So it's always good to kind of have some sort of, you know, this sort of feeling of balance and exploration, and this is pretty geometric with this one. I'm going to just kind of do the reverse of up there to kind of create a wee bit more of differentiation.
Cool.
With this, and then with this one, I'm going to come in and I'm going to pull in this darker maroon. So we're just kind of building these like interesting sort of blocks and creating almost like a visual language where you're kind of telling the person how to navigate this poster, how to kind of look at this poster. And then I think we could probably get a couple of these in here.
Ah, yes. Actually, Antonio has a question, but I think we covered it yesterday. So it's more about your tablet and why you use that one specifically.
Oh, so I just use this tiny little sort of Wacom, is it bamboo? I think it's a bamboo. So it's really small. It's not a really big one. I actually used to always use a mouse, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Like, as a designer, I think like people think that you're crazy.
Totally.
But if you can do it, like, why not?
Yeah, I mean.
But I started to use this because I enjoy kind of like going in and like drawing as I'm designing, using actual proper sort of lines and like line shapes.
You have more control.
Yes, yeah. So,
Something that comes more natural than like hovering a mouse around.
yeah, I mean, how do you do that? That's crazy.
I do both.
You do?
But I don't have a Wacom tablet with me right now.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, I might be going out to pick one up.
Yeah, no, I think it does help sometimes. You know, sometimes when you're designing and you just have a feeling, you want to just do a big sort of line, or you want to just get a bit expressive with it. I think that this is, that's why I personally use a tablet, is because I find that those things are a little bit easier to achieve.
And that one's really portable, which is great.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that this will maybe have to be, I need a color. Struggling with my colors here. Let's see.
Super fun.
Yeah, let me just... okay. I feel like we need something.
Cool, yeah. This is coming along.
It's a bit interesting, isn't it? Okay. So we're just trying to... I think if this was like a proper poster, you'd get all the sort of information in each of these little sections and create something that's a bit more...
Oh, yay. I love seeing them all together.
Yeah, this one's probably more complex, I think, than the other ones. So I've just gone in and I've added a wee bit of texture just to finish it off, and I think it feels quite nice. These are a lot more busy, I think, in terms of these two.
Yeah.
And this one.
This is great. I wonder, maybe we pull all the sets up together.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, I think it would be interesting.
I'm like, it's so cool to see
the three different,
Yeah, or we can at least go through the pages.
So also in Bauhaus, they did a lot of this sort of typing on a path, which is this sort of thing.
Oh, fun, yeah.
Whereas, like, you're kind of typing on a circle, or you're using a sort of squiggly line, and then you're typing on that. So I thought today we could kind of try and explore that a wee bit. So how I often do it is I draw a shape, and I'll then use the type on path tool. I'm sure lots of people know this. And let's see how it works with our new font. There.
Cool. Oh,
And
Herbert.
Blow this up. And really get it to go all the way around.
Oh, I love where this is going.
So I'm just blowing up. And I think it's good sometimes to create things that feel a little bit like you can't read them.
That T is amazing.
Yeah, the T is so cool, isn't it? And
although
I think
it kind of looks like a middle finger upside down. It's kind of funny, right?
yes.
I feel like this could be used for a lot.
Let's see. Okay, so I'm kind of going in. I actually kind of want it to really sit close, so I'm actually going to remove this space.
Cool.
That's in here, and I'm just going to pull this up a wee bit bigger. And then I'm going to outline it. And then we've got something that we can play with a wee bit, you know? So we can start to move this around the page, pull it out, duplicate, make it a bit smaller. You can create some interesting little...
It's like little Bauhaus wheels.
Yeah, I wonder even if you could kind of
Ooh,
put
yeah.
them inside each other. So this is starting to look pretty cool.
Very.
So I think like today I just kind of want to show you guys like how I would work with typography, all the little things that I do to make it a bit more interesting and something that feels a little bit different, I suppose, rather than it just feeling, I don't know, like you've just shoved type on a page or whatever. I've decided I now don't like this one. Sorry, guys.
You're like, that's why I'm doing a new one already.
I do that too often, I think.
I think it's great.
But
it's fun to see the process, though.
Well, this is it. It's real, you know. I'm just doing this as I'm going along. I've not pre-thought about any of this. So it just shows that sometimes you do things and it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, I think we need
Yeah, it's nice to see all the techniques and getting a sense of how you layer things with textures, how you'll bring in specific line shapes to have it feel more illustrative and more hand-drawn. It's really cool.
So I think this one is looking pretty cool. It almost feels like it's some sort of flower or something.
Totally. It's, Tima said a windmill, I think, even. Or no, Antonia did. It's like the Bauhaus windmill.
It kind of feels like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But I think like they never really went as extreme. You know, they kind of, it was like more of like a semicircle.
Yeah, or just one line of type.
But I think now it's really cool to see people using these sort of shapes in their designs and typography and exploring them a little bit more in terms of how to create a poster that feels a little bit different too. Okay.
Yeah, we've got just a couple minutes left before we dive into portfolio reviews, so make sure you guys have submitted. The deadline is almost here.
Woo!
I know.
That is exciting. Okay, I'm just gonna do, because I don't like this one, I've decided. So
you're like, that one's gone.
This two are gone. I'm gonna just try working with, because we kind of got rid of the original sort of exploration of just one letter. I think I'll maybe try and build that back in again. And it might be quite interesting to do something that feels, I don't know, which one did you like the best? The T?
I like the T, yeah. I mean, the A is cool too, all of them. They're so great. Ooh, the uppercase A is pretty cool too. Did it have the umlaut that we were looking at?
Oh, so that was Zant's.
Oh yeah, that
Zant's. Had a really lovely A.
Yeah.
So we went into the glyph palette here.
That's right.
And there was some lovely, I loved this.
Yes, super cool.
How nice is that?
Very cool.
Okay, so maybe we'll play with this for a little while.
And don't worry if you didn't get your portfolio in this time. In the next segment, you have another chance to submit. So you only need to submit once per segment, but there's going to be more chances. I think we're nearly ready.
Are we? Oh my goodness.
So we have 2 portfolios selected. I'm going to get them ready up on my screen while you're just fixing to be ready for this.
So I think with this one, we're just going to kind of go in, and I've outlined it this time. And I think that what's quite interesting about outlining it is it almost feels like a completely different form.
Completely.
It doesn't really feel as much like the typography that you know, and then you could go in and you can maybe play a little bit with this idea of repetition.
Such great type. You can do so much with really well-designed type.
Yeah, absolutely. And then look at this. Now it's completely
super cool.
Lost what it was. It doesn't even, you're not even sure if it's an A, but.
No, it kind of feels like a face.
I think this is.
I see eyes and a nose.
Yeah, it does a little bit,
with
doesn't it?
A little mustache, yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. If I had more time, I'd probably go in and actually build in like some color blocks within some of these shapes to just try and actually kind of make it feel even more abstract and unusual.
Amazing.
How much time?
We're ready. We're ready when you are.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Let's go.
So let's take a look. We've got 2 portfolios that were submitted that we selected, and we're gonna get ready for portfolio review. Woo! Woo! Hi guys, we're back. We're ready for portfolio review. All right, we have 2 portfolios. The first portfolio is Angela Trenton. She's a graphic designer from Milan. And we also have Kate Morehouse, and we'll be looking at Angela's first. So let's take a look.
Woo, okay.
So Angela's from Milano. She has been a member since 2011 on Behance. Nice job, Angela. So we can scroll down and you just let me know. We can click through anything.
Okay, I want to see this experience. Yeah, one.
This one?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look.
This is cool. So what is this for? Does it say? If we scroll down to the bottom sometimes.
Let's take a look.
That's a bit.
We'll go through and see if there's any text. Oh.
Mm.
Launched in spring, an exclusive club to give members access to some of the most sought-after houses, villas, and chalets in Europe. Cool.
Cool. So I would say that the presentation of this is really good. Like you immediately know what it is. It feels like a brochure. You can kind of see what it's trying to do. It's giving little hints of, you know, how this would feel if it was actually like a printed out document. It would be interesting to know if the client was like a real client, if this was a conceptual project, and also see it if it was actually printed. I always think when you're creating these sort of projects, it's good to have a little bit of type, just explaining what it is at the top. So even before the imagery, introducing it a little bit. So this is this, and what's the concept? Why have we got this sort of flowing, big sort of shape in the background? Does this reference the sea? Does this reference silk, which is like a luxury sort of material? Why is this being used? Is this sort of, is it because it references this S? I don't know. Does it say?
The wave pattern reappears as it is a sister company to Soros, while the emerald palette is reminiscent of the sea, conjuring tranquility or of a luxury holiday.
So that's good. I think it's really good that she's included the concept in there.
But I agree, it still helps to have it up front, or at least to have it on the side. You can always enter more descriptions on the side in the tab, and that's always helpful.
Yeah, but I like it. I think it's really nice. I think it's well presented.
Cool.
It would be interesting to see it in actual print, though.
I agree.
I think it would change it.
Yeah, or even just a mock-up of what it would look like dimensionally.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
Okay,
What's
cool.
next?
Ooh, Ashburg House.
All right, Ashburg House.
Ooh,
Here we
I
go.
like this. This is
Wow.
lovely. Okay.
I'm sensing a theme, like
Yeah.
homes and luxury homes.
This is cool. So I like this that she's used a mood board here.
Yeah, I do too.
I think that sometimes when I'm working with my clients, if I'm presenting brand identity, I'll use a sort of mood board or a sort of concept board, and it explains where and what I looked at in order to get to this design or to explore these designs. And I think as well, this is pretty self-explanatory in terms of like a logo, in terms of the way it looks. It's this Ashburg house, it's coming up and it's building in to this sort of like house almost icon. That's what it feels like to me anyway.
Interesting.
And I think it's super interesting. What's
Yeah.
these?
Looks like tables.
So we've got a lot of editorial as well within her work, and I think that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Editorial design. I think it's something I love it. I actually really like the logo type.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a little bit of detachment between the icon and the logo type. I feel almost like the logo type sits alone, and then the icon feels like it sits on its own as well. It's like something a little bit different. But I think that the way that it's been presented is really good. I think it's amazing that the introduction is of the logo, and then we start to see all these assets, and that's how I would often lay out a sort of logo type or brand identity project. I'd introduce the logo, I'd introduce the icon, I'd introduce the colours, and then I'd start to move into the brand world. And I think that's really good because the viewer can get an appreciation of what you're trying to do and then see how that's then being built out. My only comment again would just be get that content about what this project is at the top of the page.
I agree.
So that people can read it and then they can look through the work.
It'll help them.
Yeah. I think they'd appreciate it a wee bit more.
That's great.
Really good. I want to see this Morpheus London. Morpheus.
Oh, Morpheus London. Yes, because
This
this
looks cool.
is related to what we just saw.
Is it?
I think they're part of each other.
Okay, cool. See, this I love. This is beautiful. And the sort of the way that this has been presented to me feels like a real living project.
Yeah.
Whereas like the previous ones, I'm not sure if they're real, if it's conceptual, because it feels a bit mock-up-y, which is fine. But I think it would be good to know. I think this one feels a lot more real. You can really see the sort of references, where the designers looked to pull in inspiration, and the presentation for this is really beautiful, really well done.
Nice.
It's really nice. I especially love the boxes. I just think they look amazing.
Yeah, the boxes in the beginning are beautiful.
Ooh, what's this?
Giveaway for events. Interesting.
Cool.
Website.
Yeah, I think that this, for me, feels very sort of complete in terms of a project. And I think there's some really interesting sort of things going on. I think there is some lovely little sort of tactile sort of mock-ups or like photography. And I think that makes a real difference to how you can then sort of envisage this brand in real life.
Very cool. Nice job, Angela. All right, let's see what's next.
So, I don't know. Oh, the collages look quite interesting.
Which ones?
These?
All right.
We do have hidden treasure.
Yeah, I saw that in there. We'll have to look at that too.
Next, yeah.
Digital explorations trying to replicate the language of paper collage using digital tools.
Interesting. And this is good because see the concepts at the top.
At the top. So we didn't have to guess.
Yeah,
which is
I like
great.
That.
Waterfalls.
Ooh, these are very sort of experimental. I like it.
Cloudy K.
It feels a little bit like a 3D.
Yeah,
like almost
more
cinema
so than
4D.
paper collage. Yeah.
But I think that's interesting. It's almost like taking the shapes from a collage and the idea of a collage, but implementing it in this new style. And I think that that's really
very artistic.
Yeah. Let's see Bauhaus.
All right, let's do it.
Because I think that we should definitely try.
Woo!
And look at that.
Doing it.
Ooh. Yeah.
Ooh. All right, Angela, you've got our attention now.
This is cool.
We're like, yeah, cleave.
Get some textures on there.
I feel like there's going to be a few in here. Oh,
I love.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
so
really
great.
Interesting.
Super.
And the dots.
Yeah. And the line. There's a lot going on.
That's really
It's cool.
I love this. And I love the way it's presented. It's just really big. You can see it all. You want to kind of take a closer look, which we're both kind of doing.
Yeah, we're like,
zooming
ooh.
in.
Oh, I love this one. The color palette's
It's so
beautiful.
interesting.
Yeah.
This almost feels like a real print. Like it feels like it's actually been done in a studio.
Yeah, I kind of want this as a rug in a house.
Yes,
You know?
it feels
would
textile.
be great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. It feels very textile.
Really textile.
Or a throw pillow.
I like these. I think it's really lovely experimentation.
Oh, this is great.
I love this one. This is
do
my
too.
favorite, 100%.
Oh.
I love the texture in the corner.
Yeah.
The colors look fantastic together as well.
I find it interesting because she has a lot of editorial and interior home design,
Yeah,
so
it's
it makes sense that it would feel like
Yes, this is true.
textile.
But this is also really nice to see the variety of work. And I think that that's really important in your presentation, especially as a designer, to show people what you can do. So it's not just posters, it's not just brand identity, it's not just packaging. If you have all those elements in your portfolio, make sure that you show them and list it as something that you can actually do so people understand.
And then you never know what your creative services could then offer. You
Exactly.
know?
You might
It's
get something new that you've always wanted to do.
Totally.
I love this.
I
last
love
one.
this with the
It's
pattern over it.
amazing.
It's
It's
great.
really, really good.
Really nicely done. I
Well
agree. This
done.
is my favorite now
This
too.
is my favorite, 100%.
Cool. All right, maybe one more and then we'll.
Cool,
Actually,
yeah,
we
do
might
we-
need to move on.
do we have time?
I think
What do you think?
we could do one more. Let's do one more quick one.
Okay. Oh, I don't know. See, the rest look illustration, and I'm not. I feel like I don't have the authority to say, but let's
There's one more
go-
collage.
Let's go. Yeah, okay. Let's go the Mystic Collage.
Mystic collage.
What's really interesting about this portfolio is all the work is super different.
It is. Yeah.
And I think that that really helps because a client wants to see what you can do in terms of like variety rather than just the same sort of feeling of like having the same sort of projects.
This is so fun.
I wonder,
I
what does
love
it say
these
this is for?
hidden little guys on the trees here.
Wow. What is this?
I can swim in a swimming pool full of cactuses. Happiness is fulfillment, not money. Our body is dying. Our energy is endless.
Cool.
Poetry.
Oh, look, there's a video.
There is a video. I think we might have to move on though.
Oh, okay. Well, my overall would be, I think that the projects, like the sort of more, the things that feel more real, like the, what is it, Morpheus London, and and with the boxes
Ashford
and
House,
things, that to me feels really sort of professional, very finished, very clean. You could show that to a client and they'd understand what you're trying to do or what you were doing on that project. And I think trying to implement that throughout all the projects would be interesting. But I think there's a great variety of work there, and it kind of really shows her ability.
Great job, Angela.
Well done.
Super nice. All right, so our next review will be for Kate Morehouse.
Ooh.
She's a graphic designer from Manchester, and let's see. Looks like she focuses on graphic design, branding, and web desiging.
Okay,
she's got quite a bit in her portfolio.
Yeah, I've seen a few things that I really like.
You're like, I've already seen a few things. I'm gonna go all the way down.
Oh,
wow,
God,
there's a lot
so
here.
much here. Okay.
All right, where to start?
Start
I'll
at
start
the
at the top.
Okay, can we see Happy Kids?
Yeah. You're like, I already want to see this.
This is cool. So yeah, so we've got the logo, we've got the colors, we've got the sort of strategy or these sort of tone of voice. That's good.
Oh, animation too.
Sweet.
Cute.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's really cool.
It's so fun.
It really brings it to life.
Yeah. One for all, keeping it real, be together. Love this.
So I'm interested to know why the kids is underlined. Is it because it's for kids? Is that why?
I'm not sure.
Is there anything that says what this is about? No?
No, there's no description, but...
So that would be my first thing, is this is presented really well. There's a really interesting dynamic between GIFs, between mock-ups, between textile and like the logo in a vector format, and I think that that works really well. I'd love to know what it's for, who it's for, why it was created, why those colors, if there's a reason why the smiley face.
Why the GIF? Was it used for anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love it. In terms of actually the way it looks and feels, it's done very well. I really want to see, oh, I don't know.
You're like, which one?
Icon furniture looks interesting.
Icon furniture. Cool.
Cool.
Bespoke furniture.
So this is interesting because she's obviously created icon in shapes, and then we've also got the logo type. So I think that that's really clever. I think what we've done here is created almost a bespoke graphic for the word icon. And what's interesting about that is it then becomes these sort of patterns.
Yeah,
you can then build it into lots of different things. Again, I want to know what icon is. Why? Is it because it's all flat pack furniture that goes together, that's super geometric? Why is that?
Like the bespoke furniture part, does it come in a box? Is it small furniture?
Yeah. What is it? And why have we used this? These are lovely. I love these brochures. I think this is really nice.
Super.
And again, really cool. And this I think is working really well on this sort of A-board, sort of big sort of poster here. I think what would be, there's quite a diverse in like the color palette in this. So it'd be interesting to kind of see a wee bit more, I think, like more brand assets, to understand a little bit more about where this would be used. Is it just on packaging? Is it on posters?
Descriptions are so helpful.
Yeah, is it on swing tags? Was it built out into a store? So then you've got a bit more of like environmental design.
The pattern's lovely though.
But I'd say presentation, exploration in terms of like the way that she's explored this is all super interesting. I just think bringing it more into, I suppose, either mock-ups or actual like product photography would make this easier for someone to understand. Because I think what you need to remember a lot of the time is that people who are often looking at these sort of presentations in your portfolio might not be as visual as like you and I as graphic designers. So it might be someone from a super corporate sort of like marketing is pretty creative actually. I'm going to say finance, background, who can't visualize these things as well as me and you can. And that's where the beauty of mock-ups comes in, and that's why mock-ups are amazing. So, okay.
What's next?
Oh, this is interesting. Urban land. I like
Urban
the
land?
pull out of the, I like the typography.
All right,
in it.
let's do it. Oh, yeah.
Ooh, this is
Streetwear,
cool.
serious. Serious streetwear.
Cool. So I love the typography in this.
I do too.
I think it's really fun. I think it works really well. You could see this almost on a big swing tag. You could see it kind of as a label, like pulled around a t-shirt or something. I think it works really well actually in like one color as well, just down there in the corner.
Yeah, this is
that
great.
to me is working like, but maybe this is just to show how, maybe it would be printed in an iridescent way or something, I'm not sure.
Fun.
But again, presentation of this is really good. It would be nice to see a wee bit more. And I think my overall comment for like this portfolio would be, we need to understand what these things are.
Yeah.
If it's,
Why did you make it?
even if
Who's
it's
it for?
yeah, even if it's just a concept piece,
Yeah.
that's fine. It's just
Yeah,
let us know
completely.
though why you did it. Why is it repeated? Why does it have this gradient over it? Things like
Cool.
this. I think so. Let me see what else. Ooh. Keep going. What's this? Cat Life app? Should we do
Yeah?
that?
All right.
Although,
No, you're like,
Yeah.
maybe not, but
Okay.
yes.
oh,
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 Oh.
it's a video?
I don't know.
Do you want to click on it?
yeah. Let's see. Click.
So there's a really big diversity of things, of
Yeah.
actual. We've got an app here. We've had like posters. We had a bit of apparel. On
Cuteness.
Yeah, so it's good to see though. Again, like
Yeah.
all these different sort of things that you can do, and I quite like the icon for this. It's really minimal.
cute, yeah.
I like the color palette. I think it's super fun. I don't know much about apps, so I have no idea.
Well,
but-
everyone loves cats, so except for me.
do you not like that?
No,
Why?
I don't know.
I love dogs more. This I like. Let's go into Colonia branding.
Okay, let's get in there. Ooh.
See, this is nice because we are starting to kind of get an
Flooring
idea
collection.
of where this has come from because of this image. So this is
Ooh.
obviously maybe their main piece. I don't know. Maybe it's all references the alphabet. I'm not sure. But there's like a sort of visual cue there that gives us a little bit of an idea of the concept, a little bit of an
Yeah.
idea of why this has been built like this. And this to me feels more like a complete project. It feels real.
Yeah.
Whereas the other ones maybe feel a bit more conceptual.
It looks like a catalog here, and I like the logo being used as an accent to point up to what you might be referencing.
That's super clever. That's
Yeah.
really nice.
It's a nice little detail.
I love the typography as well for the bedroom. With that
Yeah.
wee archic is lovely.
Very nicely.
So this to me feels a lot more real, I think,
Yeah.
in terms of how it looks and how it feels. It would be nice to see these pages. They're so well designed, like
Yeah.
in an actual mock-up, on actual, almost
print
looking
it,
like a
photograph
brochure.
it,
Yeah.
even if it's just done in home, just to see it.
I think that would make it become a lot more to life, and I think that kind of takes away from it a wee bit when it's not in mock-ups.
All right, let's see. What's next?
I don't know. Oh, the RA one looks quite interesting. 'Cause It's quite
yeah.
different. Feels quite classical.
Right away.
So this
Vacate
is
the everyday.
interesting.
Right away bike scheme. All right.
Again, it would be nice to know if like these logo types are all her own. If it's a found font, if she's
Right.
gone in and she's added these lovely little intricacies in the bridges of the characters, or if this is something that was already predetermined in the font.
Oh, there we go. Mock up.
This looks great because
Yeah.
you get a bit more of a feel for it.
Totally.
It feels
You
a
know
lot
what
better.
type of magazine that it would be found in. This is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
much
really like
better.
it.
Cute.
And this is lovely.
Yeah.
The way that she's taken these lovely little design motifs that are inside the actual logo type and start to create a pattern with them. Start to like reference that in the actual sort of assets. I think it works really well.
Yeah.
I really like it as an icon.
Yeah, I
I
do
love
too.
this. You've got this sort of draw-in to the center point with these two shapes in juxtaposition to these really sharp sort of serif feeling shapes. It's a really interesting little icon, that.
Nicely done.
Okay, let's see what else.
Oh.
Let's go up again.
All right.
I feel like we missed some. What's this? Camaro lock. Let's see this. This looks
All right.
interesting.
Camaro Lock Flooring Collection. Lock it, live it. So quick, so easy. Just like that.
Oh, so this is nice. The icon for this is nice because you kind of feel It feels quite appy though. It feels a little bit vectorized, but it's nice. You could see this sort of being printed on things on the bottom of a brochure as a little stamp, on the bottom of an envelope, maybe in the post. So when they get the brochure through, like this has this little stamp on the back of it, and the envelope, so they know exactly where it's come from. Again, mock-ups would be really lovely here.
Yeah.
But it's nice, you see, to see this. The integration of the icon on the actual brochure, how it comes in and how it sits on top of these images, I think is really interesting.
Nice job.
Okay, let's go back up to the top.
All right.
So,
I think this will be our last one.
okay, what about the art direction and hospitality design?
Okay, let's do it. Oh, we're like, ooh.
So did she art direct this photography?
I would assume so,
I
but
love
we don't know, and that would help.
Yes,
Yeah, it'd
again.
be great to know what your role was for the project.
Yeah, it must be though.
It's really beautiful.
I love these. I think these feel so professional.
I would definitely sleep there, would you?
Yeah, 100%. It's all in the detail.
It's true.
And this is nice.
I almost would have led with some of this just to lead into
definitely,
what
and
it
then
is.
started to bring in the photography.
Exactly.
This is lovely.
This
This
is
to me
great.
feels like a really complete project. The mock-ups
Yeah.
are beautiful. The presentation is really good. I love this little GIF that kind of goes between the information. I think again it would maybe be interesting to have that at the top, and then have some brand, and then have some photography, so that people kind of understand. Okay, so this is what it's about. This is what it looks like, and this is what they provide as a service, which is the photography and those lovely sort of like, I don't know if it's interiors or whatever, but
I also kind of want to see this winking since it has eyelashes.
yeah, it's really sweet.
I know, it's cute.
I think overall though, there's some really lovely things going on in this portfolio.
Yeah.
I think there's an understanding of professionalism and creating a proper sort of portfolio that feels quite commercial, and like if you were to show it to a client, I think that they would understand. They would understand what you're trying to do. They'd understand what sort of services you can provide. So I think really good job on this one. I think it feels good.
I love it. Nice job, Kate. We've had 2 really good portfolios.
Yeah.
Again, like a lot of great work that we've seen over the past 3 days.
Well, the first portfolio was interesting because there was a bit of illustration in that as well. So it kind of had a bit of that diversity, illustration and graphic. This one's really nice because I can see it in a very sort of commercial studio sort of setting. It has a bit of like professionalism to it. And it feels like there's the potential there. I think just even some of those projects, going back in and creating more assets for them, even if it didn't necessarily go to the client, just to show how it could, you know, be like sort of spanned out into like a whole sort of corporate identity or a whole identity.
Exactly. Well, we could probably look at one more maybe? No, I think we're out of time.
Oh,
all right. Well, this has been a really lovely session. I've learned so much, and I know that the chat has as well. We've had such a great 3 days with you, Caterina. I'm so happy to have met you and to have you here, and also having Erik in was very cool.
Amazing, yeah.
We have a lot more in store for you, so stay with us. We have Jerome and Michael up next, and we'll also be continuing on the hidden treasures look and view of all of the typography from the Bauhaus Dessau fonts. So stay with us.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.